White Privilege: Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack by Peggy McIntosh is one of the first pieces of writing that I had to analyze and respond to in my public health academic journey. So, when we talk about privilege, what are we talking about? Privilege is an unearned advantage. Privileges are benefits that are selectively given to some but not others, whether it's a conditional basis, an inherited basis, legal basis, societal basis, whatever basis may have you. A privilege is a benefit that is given to some but not others in any context. To be even more clear, I am a Black American woman. I'm a Solani woman. I'm an intersectional minority because I'm a woman and because I am Black. So that means that I'm double marginalized, but I'm still able bodied. So I have able bodied privilege. I did not ask to be able bodied. I'm blessed to be able bodied. This is how I was born. And I don't struggle with accessibility when it comes to physically having to open doors, when it comes to railway stations, flying on airplanes. These are things that just, I can walk right through the door and everything like that. Everything goes normally and naturally for me. So there are times when I don't realize that inclusion is needed. When there isn't a ramp, I don't feel discriminated against. I don't feel excluded or anything like that. I don't even have to think about the fact that there's not a ramp because that's not something that particularly affects my life every day. That's my privilege. Just so that we are clear, because I'm setting the foundation for you right now. So let's start pulling things out the knapsack. I can, if I wish, arrange to be in the company of people of my race most of the time. This is an unearned advantage because this is something that you were born into. Granted, the United States is over 60% white, so it's not going to be hard for white people to find one another most of the time. And this is an unearned advantage. You didn't earn the right to have that. You know what I mean? A lot of people would contest and say, well, we founded this country and Christopher Columbus and all that, yada yada yada. Pillage does not quantify as a right, and on top of that, that's still a privilege that you're describing right there. Having taken the land from someone and been able to replace it with people, almost exclusively with people who look like you, that's privilege. That's not earning. Pillage is not earning. So let's move on. Number two, I can avoid spending time. Oh, wait, before we even go to number two, let's go back, because even if this was a homogeneously indigenous country and continent, North America as a continent, that is still a privilege. If there were a few people here from other places, that is still a privilege to be the dominant group. That's not earned. Even in homogenous spaces, that is not earned. That's just something that exists. That's a privilege. That's something that you were born into where you are the majority. Being the majority is a privilege, whether it was through pillage, whether it was through war, or whether it was through nature. Okay. Number two, I can avoid spending time with people whom I was trained to mistrust and who have learned to mistrust my kind or me. It is very easy for the dominant group to retreat into their own spaces and feel comfortable. It's very easy for the dominant group to ignore other cultures and not even feel the need to inquire about them or be curious about them. And this is really interesting to me because this is not just on an interpersonal level, this is on a parasocial level as well. When I lived in Brooklyn, I had two roommates. One was white and one was Asian. And I was watching the remake of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And they were asking me what I was watching. I told them I was watching a remake of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because, like, this is my show. And they were like, oh, yeah, I heard something about that. Like, is it good? I'm like, of course it's good. It's the remake of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But to me, that's a cultural staple. To them, it's just another show that they don't really know anything about. You know what I'm saying? And that is a privilege because Will Smith is like one of the highest earning actors. Like, he is a world known actor, critically acclaimed. Like, he has honors upon honors upon honors upon honors. So to be able to ignore him and still feel as though you are just as much immersed in American culture, I feel as though that's a privilege. Because when it comes to Black entertainers and Black trailblazers who have changed the world, not just as Black people, but as human beings, and you feel no need to inquire about them, to be curious about them. You just have your blinders on and exist separately from them. That is a privilege. I don't have the privilege of looking away from white culture. I don't have the privilege of looking away from the dominant culture. I don't have the privilege of not assimilating. I don't have the privilege of not knowing who Taylor Swift is or knowing anything about her. There's so many Taylor Swift lyrics that I know involuntarily because I don't have the privilege of closing my mind to the dominant culture. So that's what that one makes me think about. Number 3, if I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of renting or purchasing housing in an area in which I can afford and which I would want to live. Now, this, I know that the economy, we've been through depressions, like we've been through it all. We've been through the pandemic. I understand that. But at the same time, you need to understand that race and socioeconomic status are like this. They are wrapped around one another. So, regardless of what individual pockets of white people are going through financially, that does not dispute the fact that the majority of wealth in this country belongs to them. The majority of capital in this country belongs to them. The majority of professional positions, district managers, CEOs, COOs, that belongs to them. So yes, there's going to be people who are struggling because of the nature of our economy and the hardships that we're going through, and they are white, but so is everybody else. So if you live in a struggling economy, okay, then get used to the struggle. There's going to be struggle. You shouldn't think that you're exempt because you're a white. That's what I don't want you to get confused. White privilege does not mean I believe that you drive a Maserati because you are white. I believe that you've never broken a bone because you're white. It doesn't mean that you are completely exempt to hardship. It means that the hardships that everyone goes through in this country, you will be cushioned because you will not be judged by the color of your skin when it comes to making financial decisions, when it comes to being accepted into educational institutes, when it comes to anything in life that could advance you and socially stratify you upward. Your skin will not be a deterrent. That is what it means. So it doesn't mean you can afford any old house, but it means that you are more likely to be accepted on your application to that house or to the loan to get the house. It means that because you got to think about redlining during the 1930s and up to the 60s when the Fair Housing Act was put out. But you know, it still happens, Fair Housing Act or not. Redlining was very real, and the government sponsored the wealth of white people, the generational wealth of white people. Housing is an asset. Owning a house is owning an asset. That's owning wealth. So you got to think there are homes that have been passed down from white family to white family to white family over the course of hundreds of years that was accrued through either slavery or, like I was saying, the federal, what is it called, the Federal Home Loan Association, government sponsorship. You were given loans that with very low interest rates that you could pay back so that you could build a community in which you can thrive, so that you could build suburbs, so that you could have public parks, so that your schools could thrive, while people of color and Black people were disenfranchised and put into ghettos. And ghetto means to caste. So we were put into these tiny little areas, boxed in, were denied home loans, denied business loans, and had to make do with what we had. And then on top of that, I have a personal anecdotal experience because there was a girl that I knew. She went to apply for an apartment, and when she went to visit it, she was treated disrespectfully and she was denied the apartment. She was married to a white man who applied for the same apartment, and he went to visit and he was welcomed with open arms and he was accepted. They were both financially equipped to take care of this apartment. They both met the financial requirements, but the difference was that he was a white man and she was a Black woman. He was viewed as more trustworthy when it came to finances, when it came to housing. So that's the tea. Number 4, I can be pretty sure that my neighbors in such a location will be neutral or pleasant to me. Now, peep the progression, because we started out with arranging to be in the company of your own people. Then we went to avoiding other people from other demographics. Now we're talking about moving, and we're talking about structural and systemic determinants of health, right? Because we're always going to tie this back to public health. Environment is a social determinant of health. But you're pretty sure that your neighbors will be neutral or pleasant to you. There is no black flight or Asian flight or Mexican flight when white people start moving into our neighborhoods. Now, if it's gentrification, we're going to call it gentrification, but you're not going to have the word cracker painted on your garage or in your car. You're not going to have a burning cross on your lawn. People know that there's going to be a hefty legal response, a hefty and punitive response to harming you. So you can walk around our neighborhoods feeling protected by the law because the law is coming if somebody does something to you. Whereas the reverse, when black people live in rural towns in Tennessee and other places like that, where people are wondering, like, why, how do you even feel safe as a black person living in this area? We get persecuted, lynchings, and they call it a suicide. That's not going to happen to a white person who moves into a neighborhood that is of color or is black. Number 5, I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed. There is no stereotype that white people shoplift from stores. There is no subconscious need to police them. There is no societal unanimous distrust for white skin. So when white people go into stores of whatever nature, gas station or an expensive store, maybe Gucci or something like that, no one is going to question them and say, I don't think you can afford this. No one's going to follow them around because that doesn't fit the societal paradigm that they formed around themselves in America and in this world. Number 6, I can turn on the television or open the front page of the paper and see people of my race widely represented. Now, the depiction of people who look like you throughout media and whatever we can observe from one another online and things like that, that has positive and negative subconscious effects on us, and it affects how we treat each other. It influences how we see ourselves. So, understood, like I said before, white people are the majority of this country, but that does not mean that everyone else needs to be completely overshadowed, that everyone else needs to be completely undermined. That doesn't mean that there's absolutely no black trailblazers, no people of color TV personalities, no black inventors, no people of color who have accomplished anything, who have contributed significantly to this world. And even if we didn't contribute anything to this world, that does not mean that we're not here and that we need to be glazed over, swept under the rug, and treated like nothing. There's just nothing that justifies that. You know what I'm saying? Number 7, when I am told about our national heritage or about civilization. Now, I love how this is in quotations because that word civilization can be so weaponized. But let me finish it. When I'm told about our national heritage or about civilization, I'm shown that people of my color made it what it is. When I say that the word civilization is so weaponized, because civilization and a lot of people's common consciousness is proximity to Eurocentric ways of life. And that is not the definition of the word civilization. There have been societies upon societies and civilizations upon civilizations before European people moved out of caves. So to say that civilization means the resemblance or the proximity to Eurocentric ways of life is completely false. It's just not true. A lot of people feel like Black Americans should be grateful for the triangular trade because look what we got out of it. If not, you would still be in Africa right now. If Africans wanted to lay on beaches all day or camp in the woods all day or do nails all day for thousands of years, who possesses the superior right to tell us that we cannot do that? So what? Look at what you gave me. You didn't give me anything. So I just would like to reject the idea that white people gave the world what it is today. And this is Native American soil that we're on right now in America. So even if the Native American people wanted to lay on beaches all day or paint nails all day or eat all day, I don't know, do backflips all day and not build a society or a civilization. There's no one in this world who possesses the right to say that that is wrong or that's not progressive or that it's not enough. We're human beings. We can do whatever we want to do. We don't have to live by your society, by your standards. On top of that, I have literally seen comments of white people saying that white people invented everything. Everything, that's a reach, but it speaks to the collective consciousness that white is superior. So even though the average person doesn't have a list in their mind of all the different inventions in the world and where they came from and who did them, if they were to try to compile a list based simply off of assumption, the majority of the people on that list would most likely be white because that is the way the world is conditioned to view white as superior, and that's what white supremacy is based on. So I'm going to read some black inventors. Lonnie Johnson, Super Soaker water gun, also a former NASA engineer. Lewis Latimer, carbon filament for light bulbs and improvements to the telephone. Patricia Bath, laser phaco probe for cataract surgery. Frederick McKinley Jones, portable refrigeration system for trucks. James West, electric microphone technology. Garrett Morgan, this is one of my favorites. Traffic signal and improve the gas mask. So it's just like we come from people who were not allowed to speak their native tongues, barely allowed to feed and clothe themselves, banned legally from reading and writing. And yet we still managed to give the world some of the most important inventions, things that we still use to this day. There are so many things that black people have invented that make the world turn, but they were not able to obtain patents because of systemic racism. That's why statements like these are so important because it honestly goes so deep. It goes down to the foundation of this country. So to feel like white people alone made this country what it is, it's like this country was literally made on the blood of Native Americans and the backs of black people because we weren't even able to patent all the ways that we made society better. And white people were able to take credit for inventions that did not come from their minds. Furthermore, there's so much animosity and opposition toward indigenous people as if they haven't gone through enough for the removal of Christopher Columbus Day and the replacement of it with Indigenous Peoples Day because Christopher Columbus is an integral part of the white identity, of the white supremacist identity. Mind you, this man died thinking that Cuba was China, that Dominican Republic was India, and he was arrested for tyranny. He was a serial rapist, murderer, slave trader, torturer, you name it. He was an insane terrorist, a terrible human being. But people take pride in him because he is their symbol of the New World, of the expeditions out of Europe. Second of all, Native Americans had sophisticated ways of living. They had everything they wanted and needed without destroying the earth to get it. They used every single part of the animal. They didn't just eat the meat and throw the carcass away to just rot. They were stewards of the earth. They had plumbing, they had heating and cooling systems without Pico. Like, I want that. I would very much appreciate that. Same with African societies. Like, people were living life happily. And if they had tribal wars, okay, so did Europe. Europe is still going through tribal wars with the British and Irish. That's not a reason to pillage other people and subjugate other people because they're doing that and to say that they should be grateful for your subjugation of them. I'm over it, y'all. So those were 7 of the strings from the invisible knapsack of white privilege. And until next time, when I bring out more.